Hello and welcome to today's video. Yes, it says Season 11 Prosperity because the closed beta is finally over and it was a great closed beta. We managed to get a lot of footage of a lot of different builds for every single class, whether it's in early bossing, early farming, late game mapping, and so on. Generally, I was very happy with the results and I feel like I managed to capture a lot of information in order to compile a good list of guides and information for newer players and older players. In addition, I wanted to take this time to both go over the patch notes and all the beta changes that happened during the week and some clarifications to things that I either misunderstood, missed in general, or just things that were wrong or were changed during the beta. So it is important to kind of go over these things so no misinformation is spread. So with that said, let me hop on the patch notes just to show a few of the changes that happened during the week. After that, I will name some of my choices for early bosses, as on the 8th day, we kind of went over early bossing with all the characters, and I kind of have like a lineup of characters I think are good for early bossing, like one build for each character. And then we'll talk about what's going to happen in the open beta. Alright, let's get started. So for Blade Fury, there was an additional weapon damage reduction. This happened after we did our testing. The assassin still seems to be doing fine. I try to go back to Blade Fury, and you can still map with this. It's still a viable mapper. I know a lot of people are saying rip Blade Fury, but it seems to still be going strong. And once you get your hands on very strong crafted weapons, this build should be still performing fairly well, but will still need the full 100% chance to pierce. Continuing from the Assassin class, we go down to the Paladin class, and Paladin got its sacrifice range increased, but apparently after some testing, and I read some of the discussion there on the Discord that people were doing in the Paladin channel, apparently what happened is actually sacrifice now gains levels all the way up to level 40 instead of level 30. Before it capped at level 30 at 10 yards, and now it will cap at level 40 at 12 yards. So the 20% increase only happens if you invest 10 more points, which is pretty costly, but I think this will be definitely viable for both physical sacrifice and for sanctuary sacrifice. The elemental ones will have to do with 30. I still think that generally the sacrifice builds are all very strong, so it's not really a problem. And they also got buffed by the joust effect, where it loses its cooldown. That was mentioned in my video because that happened before we actually did our Paladin day. But it's important to say that generally sacrifice builds are buffed in their mobility, but also some specific ones who have enough points or enough plus skills on their gear could definitely reach that 40% splash radius, that 40 skill level cap to gain that 20% splash radius. So that was kind of important for me to say. I only had like, I think 2 hours to look into that before the beta was down, so I didn't manage to get any footage recorded, any proper footage at least, of it, but yeah, that was kind of important. I only learned that right at the end of the beta. For items, we got a lot of new changes. There was an increase spawn on faster one walk mods. This was, I think, specifically for boots, from what I remember. Yeah, now we can talk a lot about all the item changes. There were a lot of item changes announced right towards the end of the beta, and I didn't really have time to cover them, so this will kind of go over all these. Chilling armor when equipped now grants plus 5% chance successful block chance. This is from Black Oak Shield, so it's just getting the synergy that, not the synergy, it gains the passive bonus that chilling armor gives. Stalker's Call has removed the reduction for Dragonflight. Dragonflight now gets its cooldown removed by soft points all the way up to level 24, and instead it has 10 max deadly strike. I believe this will now either will not be used at all or will be used on early Blade Sentinel. I don't really see any other uses for this, but maybe I'm missing something. Overall, I like this. I didn't really like where Dragonflight was tied to Stalker's Call, so every time you wanted lower reduction, you had to run this. And now with the lowered reduction, with the lowered cooldown, On Dragonflight, it doesn't make sense to have more cooldown reduction with Stalkers. So I like that this was changed, but I don't know if this item will be used. Let's go down a little bit more. This is showcasing all the arrows and the beautiful anniversary items. So for rune words, there were a few rune words added for arrows and bolts, and they are very nice, especially for early on, Amazons. So I really like this change, just having these for early progression ones, and they also helped me do a little bit of testing during the beta. They added, I think, 3 rune words, if I remember correctly. Ancients, Foresight, these are kind of like mix and matches of like the different ancients, which will help you fix your res if you use a bow early on, which I think is cool. So Ancient Foresight, it's a Ralph tool, and it gives you cold and fire res, a little bit of ED, a little bit of regenerate mana. So again, very, very nice. Ancient Scripture, which is Tal Ort, gives you lightning and poison resistances. And gives some life, max damage, ED. We got Echo. Oh, there's actually 4, or... Oh, maybe this is in a knife. Added a new rune word, Echo, socketed throwing weapons, javelin, quivers. Oh, right, because it works for other things. I didn't have time to see the other options. I only used it for arrows. It has chance to pierce, which I think is really, really cool. Having a chance to pierce on arrows early on is a nice option. Has ED, max damage, some attack rating, and physical damage reduction with life after each kill. Very, very nice option early on. I really like this this rune word. And you can make it also in throwing weapons, which I don't know if people will do, but maybe, who knows, right? Who knows, right? These are the item changes and all the things over here. I see that they didn't add all the additional item changes, so I'll have to read them to you. So give me one moment to bring them up. Okay. Yeah, take me a moment to just clip it from the Discord. So again, Death Cleaver got 10 max deadly strike, increased to 15%, so 5% more max deadly strike. You're gonna have 5% more deadly strike with this weapon. Halberd's Rain got nerfed, probably rightfully so. It's a very strong helmet, and the other barb helms were kind of overshadowed by it. So instead of 2 to 3 masteries, you only get +2, so you can't high roll anymore. 2 to 3 battle orders and battle cry was turned to 1 to 2 battle orders and battle cry, which I think is okay. Soul Drainers changed from -5 to -4 to 5, so you can roll now -4 on Soul Drainers. It will just create more variance on Soul Drainers. They're pretty much like insane gloves that almost everyone in the physical part of PD2 use. So I think that's probably okay. They were nerfed in the past and they were still used. It's not really a nerf, it's more like making the market a little bit more variable with them. Leoric Mithril Bane Joust cooldown reduction increased from 0.5 to 0.75. This is not a very meaningful change. Like you can use it, but I don't think it's very good. So personally, I don't think that's a big deal. Stormlash chance to cast level 28 Tornado increased to level 35 to 35% chance to cast level 30. Stormlash is already very strong. I don't know if this was necessary, but also the Tornado part is not its biggest strength. It was more the static that we love about it. So that is a change that happened there. Frostwind got its Arctic Blast and Cold skills swapped. So basically, now you have +2 to 3 cold skills instead of +2 cold skills, and Arctic Blast was added to changed to +2. So again, you just have basically the same level. For Frostwind is mostly just used on Arc Blast Druid. So for Arc Blast Druid, basically you got like a +5 still anyway, but you get a little bit bonus to your other cold skills. And I don't know, maybe if a Sork would ever use this, she would get +3. Maybe if a Paladin would use this, she would get +3 to cold skills instead of just +2. So I guess that's nice for them. Flesh Ripper got +2 to martial arts. I don't think it's a big deal, but we will see. Lightsaber was changed from 18% chance to cast level 28 Chain Lightning. Remember, this is Chain Lightning, right over here. On attack, changed to 18% chance to cast level 35 Lightning. I initially thought it's a buff because I thought the people who use Lightsaber normally use Vengeance, and their AoE is kind of okay, but their single target wasn't ever something that I was happy with. So I thought that was kind of a buff, but a lot of people saw this as a nerf because they wanted the Chain Lightning. So again, I'm not sure about this one. I didn't have the time to check it, sadly, so I didn't get to test it myself. That looked like a change for the better to me. Just for the record, from what I remember, we looked at the damage and the difference is about 150 top end damage. But it is single target, of course. I say single target, it's like in one direction instead of it bouncing between monsters, because it could hit several monsters technically. So that's the change to lightsaber. Not necessarily a buff, I thought it was a buff, but we will just live and see. Viper Fork got 10 more IAS. I don't think that's very important because almost no one uses Viper Fork. And I'll get the rest of the changes. One moment. Okay, so the next change, a bit of a nerf to Athena's Wrath. I call it a nerf because I think it's a nerf. Added, you may summon 3 to 4 more additional wolves, so you can now do like a whole Spirit Wolf army, technically. The thing is, Athena's is mostly used by summoners in bossing and not really in mapping. You can use it in mapping, but since it lacks a lot of FCR, it's basically like a bad Mang Song, and you don't get a block with it, so you don't get a shield, which is pretty nice for summoners. Usually they will just use a Druid Ward and either a Crafted or Heart of the Oak, or they just use a Mang Song. So I don't really see this as a buff. I don't love the Spirit Wolves personally, so I guess maybe that's also my bias a little bit. But now you can use Athena's together with things like Fenris and use a lot of wolves, and maybe you'll be very happy with your wolves. The summoning skills was reduced to 2, so you can't get 3 skills anymore in it. So it's a total of maximum 5 all skills for summoner, which again I see as a nerf, but everybody will have their own take on it. This I think is one of the craziest changes in the beta, in the item changes. Tomb Reaver got from 2 to 4 sockets, 3 to 5 sockets, and it doesn't really matter if Tomb Reaver has 2 or 3 sockets. At 4 sockets, it was like a top weapon for shifters, so both Fury and Mulberry love this weapon. With 4 sockets, it was like in my personal like top 5 unique weapons. But now with 5 sockets, the average DPS on it is going to skyrocket, and it's not even going to be that expensive because it doesn't even have to be ethereal. From what I looked into, I put it into the damage calculator just to check. I'm still not sure if it would be better F or non-F even. It looked to me like I'm not sure because I didn't have a lot of time to check. But so don't take everything at face value. But I think the non-F version might even do more damage unless I did something wrong in the calculation there. So the Tomb Reaver thing seems insane to me. The moment I saw this, my jaw dropped a little bit because I'm not going to do Maul or Fury next season, even though I love these 2 builds. So again, huge change for the shifters. Again, they got a small nerf, but they got a lot of quality of life with this Tomb Reaver because this is an amazing weapon for them, and this weapon will be very expensive next season if you hit 5 sockets and the right slam on it. So, okay, we continue to Rip Cracker. They removed the defense and the faster cast rate, and it doesn't gain faster cast rate when improved, which is fine. They didn't really matter. Rip Cracker was mostly used by Fury and sometimes by Maul to get like some different approach to your weapon. And now it gains 10 to 25 Crushing Blow efficiency. Crushing Blow efficiency basically is a multiplier for your Crushing Blow. So think about it like this. If you do that's an example that Senpai gave that I saw. So think about it like this: if you do 100 damage and you have 10% Crushing Blow efficiency, you'll do 110 damage. That's how it works. So it's very good for stacking Crushing Blow. I think we tried to test it but couldn't get it to do very well in bossing. So again, could be limited by the beta, could be that it is just not that good, but that is the general direction. I see this as a buff generally, but I don't know if it's significant enough buff for the Rip Cracker. Skull Collector, slight nerf to its top end man after each skill. This Skull Collector is an insane staff that you can get very early, so I think this is a fair nerf, not even a big one in my opinion. But yeah, everybody will have their opinion, especially especially people who use Energy Shield. So I guess there is that. Zeri's Resolve, Joust cooldown, Joust 6 to 8 Joust reduced to +5. It basically means that the skill works the same. It's just because the cooldown changes were done to Joust. Like, it basically gives you the same cooldown as it used to be. Whispering Mirage got an enhanced damage nerf. I think that is insane that Whispering Mirage didn't get nerfed on any of its other aspects, but I guess Mind Blast is really winning from this one. I thought Mind Blast is really going to get hit on Whispering Mirage. Also the martial arts builds, really happy with this because they love Whispering Mirage and having extra clones. So Whispering Mirage stays very strong in Season 12. Veil of Steel, 10% top-end damage nerf. It was buffed last season. I was surprised it was buffed. I think Veil of Steel is incredibly powerful. Only 10% top-end loss, so really not a big deal. It's still going to be one of the best helms for physical builds. Wraithskin, curse resistance reduced by 10% of both low and top end, and the -5 max life is removed. Bone Flame now can low roll 2 skills. I think this is kind of tragic. I think Bone Flame is a great shield that kind of fixes a lot of problems for Necro. I'm surprised that they gave it to the free, but again, maybe we'll make more interesting like market options and give some people, you know, these kind of like cheap Bone Flames they can start with that people will kind of sell for very low prices. And the few last changes, Sacred Tone. Sorry, Sacred Totem was changed from 2 to Necromancer skills to 2 to 3, and the low resist amplified damage was just changed to 2. I don't think this will make the shield see any use. Still, I think the problem is the revives aspect needs another look at it. There's the revive shield, lets you get more revives and maybe summon Rakanishu at one day. So again, Sacred Totem, I don't think it's quite there, but we will see if somebody managed to make it look good. Either way, it will be a cheap Necro plus free option now when it high rolls, so that is nice. Sky Warden has its plus skill swap, probably a good thing. Finding a Sky Warden was already pretty rare. Finding one with 1-2 Paladin skills felt really bad, but you get +2 to Paladin skills, now 1-2 to offensive auras, which I think is pretty nice. Steel runs, attackers take damage was removed. They added 5 to 10 Crushing Blow efficiency, again with the Crushing Blow efficiency theme. These I think we'll see use both on Smiters and on Act 1 mercs with the Demon Machine setup. I looked into this with, you know, putting Demon Machine setup on Act 1 merc with Crushing Blow that she gets from Giant Skull, Gold Riders, and also from Steel Runs. And it looks pretty strong. It looks pretty good for mapping. You can also get Crushing Blow, of course, from your bolts and getting like, you know, full Crushing Blow with like with solid Crushing Blow efficiency added to it. It looked really nice for clearing and felt like the summon builds would enjoy that kind of setup. Again, could be just a beta thing that isn't as good as I think it is, but this was something that I thought was definitely interesting. Marowak's got its Skeleton Mastery changed from Necromancer only to O skill, which means that everybody gets it. I couldn't think of a single scenario where this is useful. So if you do have an idea, make sure to put it in the comments so people can learn from it. And Sigurd's Staunch reduced the top end max life by 2. I think that's fine. Sigurd's is a very strong build. And 10 max life on the build that also gives you insane defense and Iron Skin. Was pretty crazy, and also a self-repair. So I think this is an okay change. I think this build will still see use if it rolls well, so I think I'm okay with this. Well, these are the total changes from the beta, patch notes. There will be patch notes, or not patch notes, there will be a stream from Senpai today after this video released at, let me make sure I get the time right, because the time zones always confuse me. One moment. So the time will be at 10 AM PST. That's, I don't know, whenever that is in your local time, 10 AM PST. There will be a stream right before the open beta. And I hope everybody's excited for the open beta. Let me know if you are going to play it. For my open beta, I'm planning to do a full playthrough with Cold Sork. To see if you can do leveling with her and just to test how Blizzard feels like. We're going to try and run all the way to Ubers, so if you want to catch that, make sure to join me on my Twitch channel. I'll be linked in the description. And lastly, I promised like a lineup of bosses as the result of our testing in day 8 and in the general days that we had. And my results were, I don't know if they were boring. I'm not ranking them or anything. I'm just giving like one bosser for Ubers and one for Declone per character that I think are viable early on with just a little bit of gear. So yeah, just remember what this is. Not a tier list, just a few options. So for Druid, I think Summoner was the best one, both for Ubers and Declone. He was the easiest one to do. Again, this is just for tier 0. Nothing else was available during the beta. For Sorceress, we tried Meteor, we tried Blizzard, and we tried Firewall as well. I didn't try Hydras, I've done Hydras in the past. I think Blizzard is the best Sorceress early bosser, both for Ubers and Declone, which is very, very cool. I think the changes to Blizzard are very significant, and I was very happy with them. For Paladin, I think Holy Bolt is still like the king, both for Ubers and Declone for the Paladin class. Again, early on for tier 0 kills. For Barb, I was actually surprised. We tested D-Swing, which did very well with very cheap gear. So I was pretty happy with D-Swing. You can also use Berserk, of course, for a little bit more damage, but it's a little bit less safe because you reduce your PDR. So it could require a little bit more gear. And you can do Throw, but we like D-Swing and Berserk the most. They basically have the very similar itemization where Berserk just needs a little bit more PDR. So just keep that in mind. For the Necro, Necro actually has two options that you need to learn, because he has two very strong boasters, but one of them is only for Ubers and one of them is only for Declone. So for the Ubers, you can use Golems and Revives that you can get from Act 3 Travancore. I showed this in some of my Rags to Riches videos. So Golems and Revives, and you can kill Ubers very easily. They're very strong at Ubers. So I really recommend this build for the Ubers, but for the Declone fight, we looked into the Blood Golem and just general Golem summoning, but specifically Blood Golems. We used an Edge Bow, which is a rune word you can get in normal, pretty much. And we used it to kill Declone with the Thorns aura. Extremely strong for Declone early on. One of the, in my opinion, easiest tier 0 kills at the moment. Or I say easiest, it requires the least gear. But for me, it's easy. I think for some people, it may not be easy. It just depends on your skill. But for me, this was the easiest skill on tier 0, and I'm really happy with this build right now. We have for Assassin, in total, I think we had two strong options, Fire Traps and Mind Blast. Fire Traps is a little slow, but is a little easier to play. And Mind Blast is a little faster, but it's a lot harder to play, so it's kind of up to you what you prefer to do. Both of them were good, both for Ubers and Declone, so I'd recommend one or the other. And for Amazon, we had for early bossing a lot of tests. I recently done a Decoy Zone kill, but after they added HP to Declone, and I'll talk about this in a moment, and about the changes to early bossing, just because the changes I know confused a lot of people. So for Declone, for Ubers, Decoy Zone is by far the best Amazon option. She is very strong and very safe, and you can do it with almost no gear as Decoy Zone. For Declone, I really recommend Explosive Arrow. After a few tests, it seems like that one is the one that works best. So Explosive Arrow for Declone and Decoy Zone for Amazon. For Ubers, sorry, on the Amazon class, if you are planning to do early bossing kills, of course, later on when you're more geared, there are a lot more options, and a lot of builds can do tier 0s as long as you have the right gear for it. So now let's talk a little bit more about the bossing changes, because there were a few bossing changes. I just wanted to clarify how they work, with the hopes that more people will do tier 0 kills and try to do a little bit of their own bossing. Let me pull this patch notes again. So there were a few. One moment, this for some reason got flipped. One moment. There we go. So initially in Season 12, they added 3 portals for the tier 0 clone, Rathma and Lucian. Surprised that they didn't do it for Uber Ancients. And they did do it for Declone, Rathma, and Lucian first. But that is what they chose. So tier 0 clone, Rathma and Lucian now have increased health. They increased their health, which is important to know. So the tier 0 fight is technically longer. I shouldn't say more difficult. It's just longer, but you can go out, you can save and exit and rejoin your game. If you are on SSF or like on single player, sadly, this just means this fight is harder for you. So a little bit of a nerf to SSF players and single player players. But in general, the fight is not necessarily harder, just longer, which is maybe a little frustrating, but it is what it is. And entering a tier 0 portal will now heal the bosses by 20%, so you can't just go in and out without doing any damage and retrieving potions. You have to do actual work to get the bosses down, enough to it being worth going in and out and bringing more potions. And they added an invulnerability on the tier 0 portal. This was mostly done so people who are dying on single player, I think, can rejoin and grab the corpse without having to leave the game and return to grab their corpse, because otherwise you just get one shot the moment you walk in. I think that's why this change was added, is making things a little bit more easy to kind of like jump back in, maybe buff yourself before everything like pounces on you. And I have a lot of opinions about this, but I'm interested to hearing more what other people think, like what you guys think about this change. This change is interesting for sure, and the hopes are with this change is that more players will do bossing content, because it's really an amazing part of Project Diablo 2 that they added and designed really well. And I'm wondering, will this make you try more bosses? My hopes is that the answer is yes, but I genuinely don't know. I think the change is making the fights a lot longer, which was also a barrier for a lot of people, how long it takes and how many rejuves it takes. So again, there are a lot of questions about these changes, but effectively what this means that even if you enter a tier 0 clone to try it for yourself, or Rathmar or Lucian, even if you die, you can still ask someone for help, and you don't necessarily have to lose your entry in order to learn and test what's going on the live game. So yeah, I'm just interested in hearing what people think about this change. I hope people will like this change, because I really want more people to try bossing. I think yeah, it's a great aspect of the game, and hopefully more people can enjoy it. With that said, these are the changes in general and the summary for our week of testing in the closed beta. We got a lot of hours on the beta, and hopefully the information is good. And yeah, remember that everything we do here is from my perspective, obviously, and there can be more than one perspective on all the changes. Never get too heated about about how people rank things. People can have different opinions. Reasonable minds can disagree, and the world will continue moving. Okay, so keep up some positivity. I hope everybody's excited for season 12. I'm gonna get ready for the open beta, because we're gonna go pretty hard, hopefully all night in the open beta, trying to play some Cold Sorceress. And yeah, I hope everybody else either enjoys the open beta or gets ready for season 12, because it's coming. It's getting very close. Alright, with that said, thank you for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it or learned something from it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, because it really does help the channel a lot, and I really appreciate it. With that said, I hope I'll see you on the next stream or the next video. Have a good whatever you're having, and bye.